Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Mardiyah Show, where we are meeting Muslims where they are. I'm your host, Shadid Muhammad. And today's show will concentrate on the journey of the new Shahaadah, what we know in Islam as the new Shahaadah, which is in reality someone who recently converted to the religion of Al-Islam. This is probably the most trying journey that anyone will undertake in their lives, and that is transitioning from one set of beliefs to another. Along this journey, sometimes as Muslims, we tend to complicate the journey for the new Shahaadah. Sometimes the intentions are good, and sometimes the actions, along with those intentions being good, are not so good. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we want to look at how can we better, as a Muslim community, as a ummah, how can we better accommodate the new Shahaadah, both male and female, and their acclamation to the religion of Al-Islam. There was a recent article that was written by a former Imam by the name of Luqman Ahmed. It resurfaced recently, and he talked in the article about the apostasy rate of new Shahaadas. He mentioned, and I don't know how well or how accurate the statistics are, however, he mentioned in his article that 7 out of 10 new converts to Islam apostate from the religion or either become non-practicing Muslims after the first year or so of their conversion to Islam. If those statistics are accurate, then that speaks volumes to what we are not doing as a Muslim ummah. And so, inshallah ta'ala, today I have with me a guest who I am honored for her to come on the show and talk from her experiences and from her perspective about how what she's witnessed and what she's seen throughout the years of this journey of the new Shahaadah, and to possibly provide some alternatives as well as solution-oriented advice for these new Shahaadas. The young sister that I am referring to today is none other than Sister Hujrah Wahhaj, the daughter of the esteemed Imaam Siraaj Wahhaj. She is an author. She wrote a very intriguing book called How to Love a Muslim Man. 100 questions that she asked to 100 men, 100 interviews that she conducted with 100 men about how they would like to be loved. And we want to talk a little bit more about that book. But she also has her own TV show, the Hujrah Wahhaj Show. And she is also a humanitarian. And she has a list of other credentials to add to her biography. And we want to give a warm welcome to my guest, Sister Hujrah Wahhaj. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It is a true honor to be here with you today. Thank you very much.
Before I kind of get into my topic, I want to talk a little bit about your book.
Yes.
How to Love a Muslim Man. Where did the concept come from, and how has the success been with the book since you published it?
Well, you just want to start trouble, don't you?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. What inspired the book was the alarming divorce rate amongst Muslims.
Okay.
You have,
is this African Americans or just globally?
Globally.
Okay.
Especially in the African American community. And what happens is that you have so many people that are asking the wrong people. They're asking other sisters how to love a Muslim man.
Wow.
They're going on magazines and blogs, how to love a Muslim man. These are non-Muslim published, how to ask the Muslim men.
Wow.
How do you want to be loved? How can we love you? How can we better serve you? And so what I did was one day I said, man, it just bothers me. What can I do? I don't know the answer. So let me ask men. And I just put out email blasts. And every time I went to a convention, I talked to people from Pakistan and Bangladesh and African American and Puerto Rican. I just wanted to a various, you know, diverse group of people, from doctors to lawyers to engineers to political people. And I just simply asked them, you know, how can we love you? What are you looking for?
Did you find a response consistent across the board? What was that response?
Do y'all really want to know? How much you want to know? The sisters want to know. Look.
What was the consistent response across the board?
The consistent response across the board was that men need us women to be their garment. They need to have peace when they come home. They need the support of women. They need us to understand them a little better than we are. They need us to communicate in their language and not our language. Okay. They need us to accept the way they show us love and not the way we want them to show them love.
Exactly. I was actually having a conversation with my wife the other day that you don't get to determine how you love someone. You know, you have to allow people to love you the way that they are comfortable loving you. You can't determine to someone how they should love you.
Absolutely.
You know, because then it wouldn't be genuine.
Absolutely.
You know? Everybody shows love most of the time the way that they were shown love.
Absolutely.
All right. And you have to accept that. You can't say you didn't love me enough.
Absolutely.
Right? You didn't love me enough.
And in my experience, I believe that the key is to communicate in your spouse's language, because we all speak different languages when it comes to love. And once you kind of study your spouse, you're supposed to study your spouse. That's supposed to be your #1 research part, you know. Once you study your project, really. Right. I mean, right. But really. And once you know them, what you need to know what your mate's strengths are, their weaknesses and their interests, and protect all three.
MashaAllah. Can you reiterate that again for all?
Seriously, we need to research and study what your mate's strengths are, weaknesses, and interests, and protect all three.
Wow. Interesting.
Vice versa.
Okay.
That's how you're going to have success. We all have weaknesses. We all have faults. We all have strengths, and we all have interests. You need to protect all three and take it very serious.
MashaAllah.
That's how you can be better successful at marriage, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's jump into the topic here about the new Shahada. First, I want for you to define for our audience, based upon your experience and your understanding, what is a new Shahada, #1? And #2, is the new Shahada, the term new Shahada, is that based upon how long you have been a Muslim, or is it based upon how much you know as a Muslim? Because I would think that if somebody has been Muslim for 10 years, we might say that the person is not a new Shahada. But if you've been Muslim 10 years and you still don't know how to recite Al-Fatiha, I would say, and you don't know the 5 pillars of Islam, I would say you're still a new Shahada, even though you've taken Shahada 10 years ago. So what defines a person as a new Shahada? And is that definition predicated on how long you've been Muslim or how much you know as a Muslim? That's
a very, very interesting perspective. Well, basically, a new Shahada is someone who has accepted Islam, accepted Allah as their God, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as their messenger, and Islam is their way of life. Now, I've always interpreted new Shahadas as someone who's fairly new to the religion. But I really like your perspective, because if you've been a Muslim for 10 years and you still don't know the basics, then I wouldn't call you a new Shahada. I would call you a Shahada that needs to get moving. You know, you need to get moving, because 10 years is a long time. And that's where we come in. That's because a lot of times what happens when you enter a new job or a new business. You don't know everything. You don't know what to do. You don't know which direction to turn. That's where we come in, where that first 30 days is crucial.
The what they call OJT, the on-the-job training.
There you go. That first 30 days, that first 6 months, that first year is crucial for a new Shahada.
Absolutely.
As the statistics that you just talked about. So I think that's where we come in as a Muslim Ummah, as a community. What are we doing to help assist so that 10 years you still don't know the basics? That's appalling to me.
Okay. So hold that thought, and inshallah ta'ala, we'll be back with Sister Hujrah Wahhaj and our topic, the new Shahada, what are we doing wrong? So welcome back to the Mardiyah Show and our guest, Sister Hujrah Wahhaj, and the topic, the new Shahada, what are we doing wrong? So we talked about defining what a new Shahada is, and is the definition of a new Shahada based on how long they have been Muslim or how much they actually know as a Muslim. And I personally, from my experiences, I would say that a person, even if they've taken Shahada 10 years ago and they still don't know the basics of Islam, they are still considered a new Shahada. So this leads me to my next issue, is that what are we doing wrong as a ummah that we have people amongst us that take Shahada and 10 years later they still don't know the basics of Islam? That speaks volumes to what we are doing wrong, not necessarily them. We tend to blame the new Shahada and say, oh my goodness, you know, subhanAllah, you've been Muslim 10 years and you still don't know Al-Fatiha. And then at the same token, we're blaming them for something that we never stepped in to help them, you know, to solve that problem.
Absolutely.
You know, so what are we doing wrong?
Before I answer that question, I want to give you some statistics. Okay. Because if you want to address what we're doing wrong or right, you need to understand the needs of women. What's happening with our women, especially in America? And I've got these statistics on the U.S. Census, all over the internet. You can find them. I just want to read a couple of things, if I may.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
In 2012, 346,830 women were raped.
Okay.
1 out of every 6 American women has been a victim of attempted or completed rape. 17.7 million American women have been victims of attempted or completed rape, which means every 2 minutes there's a woman in America being raped or sexually abused. By the time we finish the show, how many women would have been raped by the time we finish the taping of the show? That's the first thing. In 1995, local child protective services agencies identified 126,000 children who were sexually abused.
Wow.
Of them, 75% were girls. The effect of rape, they're 3 times more likely to suffer from depression, 6 times more likely to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, 13 times more likely to abuse alcohol, 26 times more likely to use drugs, and 4 times more likely to contemplate suicide. All these women who are being devastated by that single action, rape. Single parents. In 2011, 11.7 million single parents were living with their children. Out of 11.7 million, 9.9 million were single moms, single parents, okay? We have so much going on with our women. They're turning to Islam because they need help. They have despair, they lost of hope, they can't trust people. They're saying, this is my last hope. If we're not addressing this issue, Imam Shadid, it doesn't matter how many people is new shahadas. If we're not addressing their psychological needs, their physical needs, what happened to them, if we're not addressing that and we're just throwing the Quran to them, and we're not actually taking the context of Quran and applying it to their specific situations or their pathologies or their tests, really it's going in one ear and out the other. So the first thing we need to do when a new shahada comes into Islam, we need to do a psychological assessment. What's her story? What's her why? Everyone has a hot point. Everyone has a reason why they do what they do.
Exactly.
Why did she become a Muslim? Some people, you see, they became a Muslim because they had a lavish lifestyle. They was doing haram and interest. They got the Quran. They gave up everything. Now they want Islam. They come in Islam and they can't make any money. We have to offer a way that you can economically and be empowered. And your money is actually giving you hasanat, that you can use that to get you into Jannah. Some women, they left their husband of 20 and 30 years because he's not Muslim. She became Muslim. Now she's in a deen. She can't find a qualified husband. Imam Shadid. For everything that she's experienced, we need to replace it with a halal, meaning in the deen, and we're not doing that. We're not offering her, we're not reconciling what she had in the dunya. We have the scriptures, we have the examples, but there's no applicable. We're not applying for her situation. We have to tailor-make.
And I think as a ummah, we tend to dismiss the social issues and concentrate solely on Tawheed. You'll hear, brothers and sisters, they're, advocates of just focusing on Tawheed, focusing on your relationship with Allah, and then everything will magically, work itself out. Right,
exactly.
And that is really, it's not even logical. It's not even realistic, because the Prophet ﷺ, he dealt with the social issues in his community. He didn't just, his last khutbah his final farewell khutbah, he summed up the whole religion, his whole mission of 23 years. He summed up that whole mission in one khutbah.
Exactly.
You know, not to hit the women and to be, you know, advocating for women's rights, to give up usury, to give up interest. And the first interest we're going to start with is that of my uncle. And he said, stand up, Abbas. And he abolished the interest that was, he absolved the interest, everybody who owed his uncle interest up to that point. And I mean, the issue, and these were social ills. Interest is not a religious ill. It's a social ill because it puts people in poverty.
Absolutely.
And as Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, "Lo kana faqra rajulan laqataltuhu," that if poverty was a man, I would kill him, because poverty makes people do things that they wouldn't know. So it's a social issue, not a religious issue.
You see?
And the thing is that when we address the social ills, what is the ultimate goal of addressing the social ills is so that people can rid themselves of these things to make room for Allah.
There you go.
So when people come into Islam and they have all of these issues piled up on top of them, they can't navigate through those things to get to Allah. We're saying focus on Allah, just focus on your relationship with Allah. But they have so many other things that are impediments that impede their ability to get to Allah. And we kind of say, don't worry about those things. It'll work itself out. Just work yourself in with the Deen and focus on Allah and everything will work itself out. And we use, you know, cliche hadith and narrations like some of the scholars that said in the past that whoever rectifies his relationship with Allah, then Allah will rectify his relationship with everyone else. As true as that may be, but we can't focus on that and forget about all of the other issues in the Deen that tells us to concentrate on those issues.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, since we're on the topic, do you think that the new convert to Islam, the challenges that the new convert faces, is more challenging or more difficult for the male as opposed to the female, or are they equally challenging?
Well, in my experience, I think they're equally, well, no, I can't say that. I think women. Because, okay, here's the thing. I mean, you know, I think what happens is that for a woman, you know, you have no choice. Everybody's going to know you're a woman. I mean, a Muslim, you know. You have to carry yourself a certain way. You know, you have to, it's really strict. And for someone who was out there and living that life, for them to come in, and a lot of times what we do, Imam Shadid, we throw everything at them as soon as they come into Islam. I had a lady, she came to Masjid al-Taqwa, my dad's masjid, years ago. And she was so gung-ho, she was so excited. She's like, yeah, Christianity is not giving me what I need. And so she took her shot and she was, I mean, calling me every minute. What does it mean about the yellow cow? The yellow calf, talking about Surah Baqarah, and she was just like on it. And what happened is she got with a sister who was unbalanced in her Islam. She had very limited knowledge of this Islam. She told her she had to stop going to school because there's no intermingling between the sexes, that she has to give up her job, that she has to throw all her clothes out, that she can't hang with her family members who are, the girl took her chemo off within a week, within 1 week. I mean, this girl had zeal and zest. So you know,
these people, I call them Deen killers.
Yes, there you go.
Not dream killers.
Deen killers.
Absolutely.
Somebody do a high five with him. Yeah. Do a high five, my brothers. Do a high five. It's true.
Deen killers.
It's true.
Hold that thought, inshallah ta'ala. We'll be right back with Sister Hujrah Wahhaj and our topic of the new Shahaadah and what we're doing wrong. So welcome back to the Mardiyah Show, where our topic is the new Shahaadah and what we're doing wrong, with my guest, Hujrah Wahhaj. So going back to the Deen killers, so how do we rectify that situation? Because every masjid and every community has a group of brothers, a group of sisters, not necessarily together in this endeavor, but there are, you know, groups of them that exist in every community that are literally Deen killers. They are overzealous and they kind of put more on the new converts to Islam than what they can handle at that particular moment. How do we rectify that?
Absolutely. What I propose, Imam Shadid, is that when the new Shahadahs come into our masjids, we get them with the group of sisters or brothers who actually love giving dawah, who actually love teaching new shahadahs. It's their passion, it's their calling, they're natural at it, and they are with them, just like the sahabas, you know, or the ansar, one ansar with the, you know, sahabas. Pair them up with like-minded people who are going to guide them right, and not these deen killers, and actually warn them, say, listen, you know, we have a set of deen killers. I'm going to use the phrase, I want y'all to know that. We have a set of people who, you know, they mean well, but you can't let them, you know, take you off the path of what you just did the greatest thing that you can do for your soul, for your life, and just kind of warn them about them in a nice way, and just get them in with the people who are passionate, and it's their calling. You have people that they were born to just give dawah and teach new shahadahs. Get them with us, especially the first 30 days. The first 30 days is crucial.
The first 30 days of their shahada.
Crucial, because if they meet those deen killers, I'm telling you, it's over. We can't get that girl to come back. Even now, years later, you see her walking her dog with her little ponytail. You cannot get her to come back into that masjid.
Well, the thing is that I seen something on the internet about a month ago. It was a young Caucasian lady who took shahada, became Muslim. And, you know, she was obviously putting these YouTube videos out, and she had received a slew of emails, just hate emails from other Muslims. Oh, you're on YouTube with your dog. Dogs are haram. And, you know, you're not covered. You're not wearing the hijab, and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that. And these videos are haram, or you're wearing makeup, and that's haram. And she did a final video. And in the video, she said that she's going to shut down her YouTube page and her Facebook page, and she no longer wants to be Muslim. You know, she's going to be Muslim on her own terms. She doesn't really want to be involved with any community. She's received hate emails from other Muslims, and she just couldn't believe that Muslims behaved in that manner. And, you know, this kind of went viral. So someone retweeted it, and it came to my page, and it was kind of like, all of the blame fell on the Muslim community. Like, this is what we are doing to new shahadas as a Muslim ummah. All right. And I kind of got offended by that, because when we start talking general, when we start using generalities, you know, you're including everybody in that without specifying this particular group from amongst us that we know exist in every masjid. All right, in every community, these deen killers, they exist in every community. But when we say, you know, this is what the Muslims are doing, or this is, you know, the product of, you know, what the Muslim communities are doing or not doing, and, you know, I retweeted, and I kind of, you know, addressed, you know, the onus or the responsibility of her, that once you become a Muslim, you cannot just stay who you are, and then when Muslims try to correct certain behaviors that you have that are anti-Islam, totally, I mean, some of them may even be kufr, they may even be disbelief. And when a Muslim tries to correct you on that, you take offense to it, and now it's like, okay, well, you should just accept me as I am. You know, total acceptance, or, you know, unconditional acceptance is for children. We are adults, and you have to have a certain level of responsibility when you become a Muslim. Everything is explained to you up front. Now, there's a process. You know, a change is a process. It's not an event. So it's something that happens over a period of time, but you can't stay who you are and be who you are and not expect that someone is going to draw your attention to that. And I said to the young lady, I said that the problem with many new shahadas is that they don't continue studying Islam. You let Muslims direct you and guide you to Islam, and then once you become Muslim, you leave your Islam in the hands of every Muslim to guide you wherever they want to. Very true. And you stop learning. You know what I mean? You can't stop learning as a new shahada. And the reference that I used for that was that of Salman al-Farisi. You know, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, who went from Christianity to Judaism to being an idolater to eventually finding his way to Islam. But even when he found his way to Islam, he didn't stop there. He went on to become a scholar in Islam. You understand what I mean? So he didn't just come to the religion, take shahada, and then stop.
I'm good.
I'm good. You know, and then wherever the Muslims tell me to go after that, that's where I go. They obviously know more than I do because they're Muslim. You know, and they've been Muslim longer than I have. No, you have to stop. You can't stop learning, you know. So it brings me to my next point, and that is What are some of the challenges that women face in terms of that social aspect of becoming Muslim? You know, now, you know, they have to go back in front of their friends with wearing a hijab now.
Yes.
They have to go back in front of the friends, and they don't want to be addressed like this. And these are, right now what's happening is that she's being pulled out of her comfort zone.
Yes.
And in turn, her friends are being pulled out of their comfort zone. My guest last night, Dr. Raymond Brock, he said that, you know, when you remain steadfast in what you are doing, you cause other people to change instead of you changing to suit or to appease everyone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just, you know, quickly, what are some of the other obstacles that women face when they take Shahaadah?
Oh, goodness.
That we may not be aware of?
Yeah, well, definitely. I see this especially as prevalent in college students. Their own family really ostracize them. Oh, you're going to be Muslim? You can't stay here any longer? If you stay here, you have to fend for yourself. Just sleep here, wash it, and get out. You can't bring that in here. They're intentionally cooking pork now. You know, it's, oh man. And these are like their own moms doing these things. The whole family turns their back on them. You know,
and then to come to the masjid and be told you're not doing enough. You're not Muslim enough. To come to the masjid
and be looked up and down. Astaghfirullah, you're not Muslim enough. Astaghfirullah, your hijab is not. To come to the masjid, the only place you can find your solace and your peace and your comfort and repose, that's where you get in the most gossip and drama and fitna. And you're like, what in the world do I do? Yeah. What in the world do I do? Wow. So that's some of the things that I see, especially like you said, the friends, you know, the people in school, the teachers, subhanAllah, in these colleges and high schools, the teachers, and not all of them, I'm not going to generalize, but a lot of the professors are like, what is this? They're giving them a hard time, a hard way to go now because she's coming in with the hijab. Making slick, remarks and comments and singling her out. And anytime
especially if she's the only Muslim
in the classroom,
and they want to bring up this, you know, topic of terrorism. In Islam, knowing that you're a new Muslim, you can't really fend for yourself.
Antagonizing. It's horrible. So a lot of the Muslim women, they're going through, and then they're struggling because it's like, you know, do I have to cover up everything? I'm not used to cover up everything. Can I still look cute? They're trying to find their way. It's like a newborn baby. They're trying to find the way, and that's what they really need. We have to be sincere in it, Imam Shadid. We have to be sincere in actually wanting them to be the best Muslim. We have to be sincere. We can't get around it. We can't. We have to be genuine and sincere and help them in the way that we want to be helped. And so they're dealing with a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, I can go on and on, but in my experience, the number one thing is that they need support from us. They need to come to the masjid and find that peace within us. They need support systems. A lot of them are single parents. They need to come to the masjid and have a support group of single parents. Or
they're dealing with issues if she's a single parent and she takes Shahaadah, the father of the child or children may be opposed to her becoming Muslim, and you're not teaching my child none of that religion. Absolutely. So now she has that issue she's dealing with. You know, even if he wants to take it further and take it to court, you know, and take custody of his children, and then to come to the masjid and find Muslims who are completely, you know, have no concern for what's going on in her personal life.
That's
right.
Know,
totally
absolutely.
Insensitive to what's going on in her personal life. And it leaves them to, you know, make very poor decisions.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Another thing that I see, Imam Shadid, is you have women who are talented. They have some gifts. They want to work, and they're being shut down. No, women don't belong in the media. No, women stay at home. Utilize her. Men and women.
There's some people that will probably say what we're doing right now is.
Oh, I already know her lease is going to be on our cases.
No, but the thing is that the thing is that we live, number one, in a different culture. I see a lot of times with Muslims who have never been to an Islamic country, has never seen Islam function as a community, as a society. So what they end up having is a picture book.
Yes.
What they end up having is a picture book image of Islam, meaning they read Islam in a book and then they have this image in their mind, and then they go out and they try to bring the image that is in their mind into fruition. And then when they get frustrated, the easiest thing to say is just dismiss you as a Muslim. You're not a real Muslim. This is not Islam. You understand what I'm saying? Because they are not able to make the connection with what is in their mind and the reality in which they live.
Yeah, it's true.
And so the beauty of myself living in, you know, a Muslim country for many years of my life, I got a chance to see Islam function as a society. And the image that we are trying to portray of Islam here in America is not reality.
Absolutely.
We are living a picture book image of Islam, and
Absolutely.
it is not realistic.
Absolutely.
So when you say, okay, well, you know, you sitting across from a woman is haram. Okay, me sitting across from a woman, interviewing a woman about her experiences in Islam that may possibly change the life of a Muslim or change the life of a non-Muslim, all right, is greater than me sitting across from a woman who has to examine me because she's the only female nurse or doctor in the emergency room at the moment.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Like I have, you know, I have to run to the emergency room. I have an emergency.
Exactly.
And the only one that is on call is a female doctor.
Excellent.
What am I going to say? No, you can't touch me because it's haram.
And you have
right?
you have some brothers that people that actually do that.
I'm sure.
Subhanallah.
You know, you have that extreme element in every religion. Stay tuned to the Mardiyah Show, where we are meeting Muslims where they are. This is my guest, Sister Hujrah Wahhaj, and our topic, the new Shahaadah and what we're doing wrong. Welcome back to the Mardiyah Show with my guest, Hujrah Wahhaj, and our topic, the new Shahaadah and what we're doing wrong. The last issue that I want to talk to you about is the new converts that come into the religion, those that are women. What are some steps, what are some life strategies and steps that you can give a woman who has just recently taken her Shahaadah coming to Islam, step by step, to help her along in this journey? Maybe not necessarily from a, you should read this book, this book, this book perspective, but you should focus on this and focus on this to help you build a solid foundation.
Yes, that's
so
right.
that you don't apostate from Islam.
That's a great question. What I would do, or what I would suggest, is there should be a 30-day, 90-day, a 6-month, and a 1-year plan.
Okay.
Right?
So basically the Imam is doing
it doesn't necessarily have to be the Imam. It can be the Dawah committee. It can be, you know, someone who is passionate about, you know, helping the new converts. It should be a plan that gives her direction for the next year of her life. As
a continuum plan.
Like a continuum plan. Okay?
Gotcha.
So
that's very, very interesting.
Really, seriously, we should have pre-packages, not only the Quran and pamphlets about, but links to YouTubes. There's a million YouTube sites out there that are great, you know, new Shahaadah videos. It should be links that you need to watch this, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. Okay? Also, you know, the Quran, we don't want her just running through it and she doesn't know what she's reading. Take one surah at a time. You want to start with, you know, Surah Nas. Read the surah. Listen to the tafsir of the surah. What was happening during that time? Break it down, internalize it. Spend 1 year on Surah Nas. How about that? Spend 1 year until it's internalized. So I will put together, and I can work on this behind the scenes and forward it to you, inshallah. Really a 1-year plan to actually take her from where she is to where she wants to go. Find out her why. Let me tell you why it's so important. Find out her why. There was another one.
Meaning her why? Why
did she take Shahaadah?
Okay.
There was the #1 Century 21 real estate agent, and they asked him, you know, what's your secret to success? Why are you so successful? Why are you selling all these houses? And, you know, we're staggering behind. He said, everyone has a hot point, and what I do is just massage the hot points.
Wow.
He said he was taking this couple on to see a house, and he overheard the wife say, oh, look at that cherry tree. You know, when I was young, I just loved the cherry tree, and da-da-da-da. She went on about the cherry tree. When he went inside and showed them the house, the husband was like, oh, it's not enough space, and oh, the money is too much. And he would say, but look, you can see that cherry tree. Can you imagine waking up to see that cherry tree? Every room they went in, he sold that cherry tree. And what happened? They bought the house because the wife fell in love with the cherry tree. Wow. He used the cherry tree, her why, her strong point, her hot point to sell that. So in Islam, we need to figure out why did she take Shahaadah? What was she looking for? What was missing in her life? What was it? Was it because of her man? It's her boyfriend? you know, a Muslim. What is the reason why? Once we get that why, specifically tailor-made a program that speaks to that why and keeps her drawn in. You understand what I'm saying?
And that reminds me, there's actually a hadith where one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, his name was Abu Sufyan. He was the father of Muawiyah, as well as the father of Habiba, Ramla, who was actually the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Sufyan was one of the chiefs of Quraysh. He was, you know, of noble status, you know, come from a prestigious tribe, and, you know, he had, you know, a certain status, right? So when he became Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ, he said when he conquered Mecca, which was the time that Abu Sufyan, he took Shahaadah, but kind of wavering, you know, as that new Shahaadah does when you first take Shahaadah, still trying to find that balance between who he was and what he should be at that particular moment after he takes Shahaadah. And the Prophet ﷺ, knowing that he was a man of status, a man of, you know, of prestige, and someone who was respected and influential in his, you know, in his group, he said that whoever enters into the house of Abu Sufyan, then for him is complete safety. No one will touch him. And the Prophet ﷺ wasn't going to touch anybody. When he conquered Mecca, he was on a donkey, and he didn't even have any weapons on him. So he didn't come to fight. You know, the Meccans handed over Mecca to the Prophet ﷺ because Allah had already instilled fear in their hearts. And that was one of the miracles that was given to the Prophet ﷺ. Nusira bil-ru'b. He was given the ability to conquer land or conquer people before a month's journey, because Allah would instill fear in the hearts of the people before he got there. Yes. So he wasn't going to touch anyone, but he wanted to appeal to Abu Sufyan's love of status and influence. Absolutely. So he said, whoever enters into the house of Abu Sufyan, then for him is complete safety. No one will touch him. And can you imagine what that did to Abu Sufyan? It made him feel like, okay, I got in Islam what I was getting before I became a Muslim.
And that's key.
You know, and like we have, for example, rappers, musicians, and people that take Shahada and become Muslim, and we want to debase them to the lowest of the low. Yes. And, you know, you got to work your way up, yes, you know, because I've been Muslim longer than you, so you're starting from the bottom right now. Yes. You know, I don't care who you was before you became Muslim. Yes. As a Muslim right now, you're nobody, you know, and I'm somebody. Right? I'm somebody, you're nobody, you know, because it's that way that we can, you know, overcompensate, yes, for that insecurity or that inferiority.
The audience is testifying, man. Yeah. The audience is testifying. Yeah. It's very true. We need them to find their place in Islam.
Find their place.
Find their place, utilize their natural talents, their gifts that Allah has given them, and connect it to Jannah.
MashaAllah.
People don't understand. You could be fabulous at the top, doing your thing, modest, and use that to get you into Jannah. How can you use teaching at a school to get you into Jannah? How can you use being a doctor to get you into Jannah? Once we attach that into Jannah, they'll find their place, and naturally they will find, oh, they will love it. We have to give the love of Islam, not just the rules and regulations, haram.
No, actually what we do is we come in between that gift that they have, yes, and connecting it to Jannah. We say, no, you're a teacher, that's cool, but you need to focus on this, yes, to get to paradise. So we cut that off. We don't allow them to make that connection that, okay, I'm good at this. Let me utilize this to get me to paradise. Absolutely. We say, no, you know, we're going to cut the path out for you, and you're going to follow the path that we've cut out for you. And if you don't, then you're not a Muslim. You know?
That's the worst thing you can do.
Exactly.
That's the worst thing you can do. Utilize them so that they benefit Islam, the Ummah, the community at large. Utilize them. They have something.
It reminds me of a letter that Imam Malik ibn Anas, who was the Imam of Mecca during his time, right? Imam of Medina during his time. And he had a very close friend that used to study with him, but after they had, you know, gained prominence in the religion and as scholars in their own right, they kind of went separate ways. His companion went off to become more of an ascetic, a zahid, as they call it in Arabic, to kind of distance himself from the dunya and concentrate on worship and focusing on his relationship with Allah. While Imam Malik went on to become, obviously, Imam Malik, you know. And so he wrote Imam Malik a letter, and he said that, you know, you're intermingling with the people and you study Islam, and, you know, amongst the people are those that are good and those that are bad, and you just intermingle with everybody. Separate yourself from the people and just become an ascetic and just use your knowledge to just get you closer to Allah. Imam Malik wrote him a letter back in response to this. He said, there are some people who Allah has made it easy for them to make a lot of salah. There are some people who Allah has made it easy for them to fight jihad. There are some people who Allah has made it easy for them to give sadaqah. And there are those who Allah has made it easy for them to learn knowledge and teach it. And I am from amongst those who Allah has made it easy for me to learn knowledge and teach it. And I am pleased with what Allah has made easy for me. He said, and I don't think that what I am doing has any less of a reward than what you're doing. Nahnu fil ajri sawa. We will both have our reward. So find your niche in the Deen and go for it. As one of the Salaf, one of the scholars of the past, he said, "Man burika lahu fi shay'in falyalzimhu." Whoever finds it easy to do a particular deed, then let him stick to that. Because Allah, what He wants from us is continuity. He's not worried about how major your deed is and how big and how much. He's not worried about the quantity. He's worried about the quality. He's focusing on the quality, not necessarily how much you can do. And as human beings, I think we seek validation by making the Deen difficult.
Absolutely.
The more difficult we make it, the more we validate how spiritual and how religious we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Top there.
You know.
Top there.
So, you know, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate, you know, the time that you've offered me and the audience and the advice that you have given us. And hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, someone will hear this lecture and maybe it will touch them. This is your paradise, because the Prophet ﷺ said that if Allah was to guide by your hands one person, it would be better for you than everything that the sun has risen over. So again, I thank you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. So what are some of the mistakes that Muslims make in the prison system?
I think when you look at just a human being in general, whether it be Muslim or non-Muslims, it's very similar to engineering. In engineering, if you begin a course and you may be just 1/16 off in the very beginning, it's very small. It's very, very small. And you think that it's okay because it's very small. But the longer you go on,